Hello and welcome to A Cat in the Garden. It is insanely hot out here. It is almost 90 degrees, which is crazy to think about considering it was just freezing a couple weeks ago. But that means I have so many garden chores to do, and I figured I would take the cats outside to do them and take you all along with me. I just got back from the gym and ate lunch, and I figured because it's so hot out, I'm just gonna get sweaty out here anyway. So we're just gonna do this all before I shower, and it's fine. It's totally fine. But there's a lot that needs to get done. There's a few things I've already done, so I'll show you that. And we'll just get as many chores as we can get done today, maybe into tomorrow as well. We'll see how much we get done. But there's a lot of daylight now that daylight saving time has passed us. So I'm hoping we can get it all done today. But either way, we're just gonna have a good time out here and do some spring gardening. So the major thing I already did out here was space out my onions. Well, plant my onions and space out my peppers. So all of these little makeshift stakes are where I'm going to put peppers in this bed. And I did plant all of my onion starts. I did that a few days ago. I know that is super late, but like I said, with all of the freezes that went on, I didn't have any other opportunity to do it until now. So I don't know how the onions are going to do this year. Maybe I just get a bunch of scallions, but hey, I think I'll still get my money's worth if I get scallions. The only thing about this bed is that I have all of these squash or potentially cucumbers that popped up. So I will have to move them because I am going to be putting some peppers in here. So I have it all set up in this bed as well as this one over here. So this is going to be the cayenne pepper bed, and you can't really see the onions too well, but they are here because this is already mulched up with mulch that we actually made from our garden scraps and our Christmas tree. And this one will also have peppers, but I decided not to put onions in here last year. But I decided not to put onions in here this year. I did it last year, but I do have a lot of leeks in here and I didn't want them getting mixed up, and I do have more leeks to plant in here as well. So I just figured this would be leeks and peppers and a couple of stray kohlrabi, but other than that, I think it'll be fine. But this will lead us to the first task that we have to do, and that is going to be to pull up some of my old onions from last year that never bulbed up, but then they came up again this year, and I think they will be perfect for scallions. There's not too many of these onions to grab, but this is sort of what they look like. So pretty much a scallion. I'm not too mad about it because I am getting something at least for planting these onions. I don't have a lot of them, so I was able to get most of them as a bulbing onion last year, but this one's a little bit bigger as a scallion. I think these are gonna be bigger too, and they are scaping right now. So this is what the scape will look like. And this, you can eat those as well. Typically people go crazy about garlic scapes, but I think the onion scapes taste fine also. So these have split, which does work out for me because if they split, then I get 3 for the price of 1, which is pretty nice. Like, these are decent onions. They are a little bit thicker. They will never bulb up quite like the other onions. Also, they were scaping, so they're not gonna be quite the same, but they're a really good scallion. I mean, that is like the kind of scallion you'd find at the grocery store, if not better. They're almost as thick as a leek. I have 2 really thick ones right here I'm gonna grab. These are absolute monsters. I think they were either the yellow or the red, but I am very happy with this. This will hold us over for a little while in terms of scallions and even a little bit of onions until the other ones are ready in a few months. And it's pretty much filled up my basket, even though we do have to go and harvest something else. So I think there'll be enough room because it is a smaller item, but we'll go over to that bed and harvest it and then get to some other garden chores. So this was the other piece of produce I was talking about. And even though it is so hot out, there wasn't really a time where we had the perfect spring weather for this crop. So it's all just starting to prop up now. And that is my asparagus. I have a few here that I think I just got to in the nick of time. If I had waited one more day, I think they would have started to look like this. And if you are growing asparagus, you do want to let some go like this, and that way you'll have more for the next season. I have a lot. That one I already picked. Here, there's more over here. that are propping up, one back there. So I do have quite a bit. Oh good, I have another one that popped up just today. It's very hard to see, but right there. So I'll be able to harvest that soon too. I do still need to let one of these go, from at least one, if not more, from the larger set. So I might let one of these two go because they are starting to separate a bit at the top. But I do want to harvest some while I'm here. They are pretty good. Like, you can eat it all the way down. And I'm just gonna cut it probably about here. This cut, let me see, which one do we think we want to keep? I'll harvest this one. And then I could harvest that, but I'm gonna leave that, I think, for at least tomorrow. And then I'll save these in my fridge, and over the weekend, I like to put them, because I don't get quite enough to actually make a whole meal. I like to cut them up and have them with my eggs for breakfast on the weekends. So I'll just leave this one. This will be the token one that I leave, and it took about 3 years for them to get this thick. These are about 1.5 to 2 years old, and then these here are maybe less than a year old. So it does take a while before you get asparagus that is big enough to harvest, but even some of these pencil thin ones, I don't mind harvesting. They still taste the same to me, pretty delicious. And now that we're done harvesting things, we can go on to some more intensive garden chores. All right, so the next task is going to be planting a bunch of these peppers that I have bought or overwintered. This is the 3rd year I'll have this plant. I also have back here some strawberries, so we'll go ahead and get these all planted while the weather's nice. So we'll start with strawberries because I can actually be in the shade here. It is getting late enough in the day that I actually have some shade. While I was waiting for the shade, I decided to completely reorganize my front porch, which is where I store everything for my supplies for gardening. I just don't have space anywhere else, so we just use the porch as that space. I also have the seedling table there, and I just hadn't really taken care of all the dead stuff that was there. There were dead plants. It was just really messy. There was old tags I didn't need anymore. So all of that, there's a grub, goodbye. All of that just got reorganized, and I think that was super productive. My husband also built me something while I was reorganizing. That's why a little bit of time has passed since I first started filming this, because he is very camera shy, but I will show you what he built me. He's actually gonna build me a second one, but it's really cool and it's going to be really useful for what I'm gonna grow this season. Hi, Saffron. She's not gonna come over here. She's gonna go around like a silly girl. But, oh, she's coming. Hi. Come here. Say hello. Say hello. There you go, sweetie. Oh, you don't need to crush my strawberries. She does love rolling around in the dirt. It's okay. You can roll around and not crush the strawberries. You can, it is possible. Nope, it's not. I have to have my hand here, or she's gonna crush it. Oh, there we go. You are so dirty. Does anyone else's cat just love a dirt bath? Because she's obsessed with them. She just loves rolling around in the dirt. Ever since we put new dirt in these raised beds, that's pretty much all she's been doing. She's just been obsessed with a good dirt bath. So while she rolls around in the dirt, I will finish putting in these strawberries. I bought 4 of them. I feel like I could have bought more, but they were like $2.50 or $3 per. And that's just a lot for a plant that I'm not sure is going to survive because it gets so hot here. So I figured this is my last attempt at strawberries in this house. They grow way better for me in the cooler zones. So if these don't work, we're gonna give up, because I've definitely put more money into them than I've gotten out of them. So I will put the last couple in the ground here, and we will reconvene some dead plants to plant some peppers. Before we get around to planting peppers, I wanted to show y'all what my husband built. So we are going to have a second one there, but he did not buy enough materials for it today. Totally fine. There is some time for this, but I'm gonna put my pole beans here this year. I haven't had the best luck with tomatoes in this space, so I figured we'll switch it up and we'll do the pole beans here. And since I did have luck growing tomatoes here last year, I was thinking that these will all be tomatoes. I don't have to worry about trellising them too much. I can just weave them in and out of here. I don't care if they look really fancy or if it's all just like one vine like most people like to do with their tomatoes. I don't really care. So I think with my chaotic style of gardening, this will be really fun. I can do different rounds of tomatoes depending on when these peas are done. Obviously I can start some here now and there. I also might be starting some cucumbers, so we'll just phase in the tomatoes as we can and do the pole beans over here. And I think this will be a lot of room for all the varieties I want to grow. Here next to saffron, there are quite a few peppers and leeks actually that I want to put in. I have a few containers of leeks that I grew from seed. There's another container, so I'll be spreading them out. I did plant some a few weeks ago. I want to say right before that crazy freeze we had, and they're doing really well. So I think I'll just be planting more, and it's really nice that I planted them and then we filled this up with more dirt, so it's going to give us a really nice stalk. Same with these. These are much bigger, but they're really buried in the ground, so I'm very excited. I'll have to make a short or something when I pull this one out of the ground because I think it's gonna be such a good one. And this one's going to be equally buried because it was in the ground beforehand. Those probably won't be as buried, but I mean, they will a little bit more once we add some mulch to this bed. But I wanted to get the peppers in here first, and luckily I'm starting to get some shade back here to sort of beat the heat. Like I said, it's nearly 90 degrees out today, and I've been having to go inside every 30 minutes or so to hydrate because it's just draining me. I was not ready for the heat to jump this quickly, but still garden chores have to get done. So we'll get started on planting some of these. One last thing that I'm going to plant before I am done planting for the day. It is getting a little late, even though it is still light out, and I'm getting tired. So that is going to be my pole beans. So I'm just gonna plant the ones with this new trellis, and I'm gonna wait and plant the new variety I got called Thai Soldier in the other bed once my husband makes that trellis. But there's not as much of a rush because these are very heat tolerant plants. With things like peppers, tomatoes, I need to get them in the ground ASAP. I don't have all the tomatoes that I want yet, so I need to go out and get those or start some seeds. But for now, I'll plant these. These are the last of the ones I've bought for the Chinese green noodle beans. They're very prolific. I actually had to start saving them in jars last year. So these are from 2023. And I think I was debating. So I was like, I could plant one variety along this way, the other variety on the other side, but then they would grow mixed together. So I think I'll go halfway green, halfway red. I think that'll work. So I think I'll start with the green on this side, and you can plant these pretty close together. Just like peas, they'll just keep growing and growing. So this will be the very last of the ones that I bought from Baker Creek Seeds, and then I will be moving on to ones that I have sown myself, which is a pretty cool thing to think about. These are one of the easiest seeds to save in the whole world, so it's not that much of an accomplishment, but it's still fun to know that you don't have to pay for them. So I will put these along here until I reach about halfway, and then I will switch over to red, and I will just keep filling this up. So I have one last thing that I'm going to plant before I am done planting for the day. It is getting a little late, even though it is still light out, and I'm getting tired. So that is going to be my pole beans. So I'm just gonna plant the ones with this new trellis, and I'm gonna wait and plant the new variety I got called Thai Soldier in the other bed once my husband makes that trellis. But there's not as much of a rush because these are very heat tolerant plants. With things like peppers, tomatoes, I need to get them in the ground ASAP. I don't have all of the tomatoes that I want yet, so I need to go out and get those or start some seeds. But for now, I'll plant these. These are the last of the ones I've bought for the Chinese green noodle beans. They're very prolific. I actually had to start saving them in jars last year. So these are from 2023. And I think I was debating. So I was like, I could plant one variety along this way, the other variety on the other side, but then they would grow mixed together. So I think I'll go halfway green, halfway red. I think that'll work. So I think I'll start with the green on this side, and you can plant these pretty close together. Just like peas, they'll just keep growing and growing. So this will be the very last of the ones that I bought from Baker Creek Seeds, and then I will be moving on to ones that I have sown myself, which is a pretty cool thing to think about. These are one of the easiest seeds to save in the whole world, so it's not that much of an accomplishment, but it's still fun to know that you don't have to pay for them. So I will put these along here until I reach about halfway, and then I will switch over to red, and I will just keep filling this up. So that is all for today's garden chores. I think I got pretty much everything I wanted to get done today, which is really nice. Nutmeg and Saffron hung out the entire time. I'm so proud of them. They actually don't really mind the heat too much, and I gave them plenty of water. They have a little water bowl outside, and I refreshed it several times with cold water during the day so that they would be nice and hydrated. But thank you so much for coming along with us today as we did some garden chores. If you like this video, make sure to give Nutty and I here a thumbs up down below and subscribe so you don't miss anything from us here on the channel. Thanks again for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.